With Nintendo allowing gamers who haven't yet jumped on the ink-splatting craze a chance to give it a go with a week-long free trial period, I wanted to give my thoughts on Splatoon 2. Released back in the long-lost era of 2017, right in the Switch's infancy, Splatoon 2 quickly splattered its way into people's hearts. When the initial game was revealed for the Wii U, it was met with much skepticism. Would Nintendo's colourful and cutesy take on the shooter genre really work? Fast forward to release, and Nintendo quickly proved the cynics wrong. Splatoon was a hit, well, as much as it could be on the Wii U, charming gamers with its innovative and bold take on the genre, and solidifying the new IP as a key weapon in Nintendo's arsenal. Splatoon proved Nintendo could handle this type of game, and Splatoon 2 needed to show they could improve upon it. So, how'd they do? As soon as you boot up the game, you see it dripping with trademark Nintendo charm. Your first introduction to a colourful cast of characters is through Pearl and Marina, taking over the role of hosts from the first games, Callie and Marie. Each has a unique personality that helps distract from the clunkiness of the game's opening. Each time you boot up, Pearl and Marina will run through the current stages available to play in each of the game's modes, as well as any updates that have occurred. Whilst the updates are handy to learn about, it feels unnecessary to go through what maps are playable each time you load the game, and it ultimately slows things down. Luckily, that doesn't stick, as once you are finally in the game, it's pretty much smooth sailing. This is one of the few Nintendo games that gets the online system right. Given this is an online-oriented game, this shouldn't be a revelation, but Nintendo's track record is spotty to say the least. The matchmaking is fast, and in all the matches I've played, I've never found myself waiting more than a minute, even outside peak times. I have noticed, however, an alarming difference in the level matching. In several of the matches I played recently, I was level 16, playing against a range from level 3 all the way up to level 53. Now this could possibly just be because I was playing outside peak times, however the game even 3 years on has an active player base, so this may be a flaw in the system. Nevertheless, I've yet to experience any issues once actually in a match, and wow, what fun those matches are. Splatoon 2 has 3 modes for online play: Regular Battle, Ranked Battle and League Battle. Regular Battle sees 2 teams of 4 players compete in the Turf War mode to see who can cover more of the map in their coloured ink within 3 minutes. Ranked Battle has a number of modes contained within it for more varied play. Splat Zone sees players fight to control certain areas of the map. In Tower Control, you fight to, you guessed it, control a tower and move it into enemy territory. Rainmaker has you carry a special weapon to the enemy's base. And finally, this game's new mode, Clan Blitz, wherein players must collect clams from around the map and throw them into a basket near the opposing team's base, the first one to reach 100 points being the winner. League battles meanwhile are for the best of the best, allowing players to team up with friends for co-op ranked play. It's a nice variety on offer, and the separate ranking system for each mode gives players plenty to reach for. Each mode provides plenty of frantic action, and the various time limits ensure nothing ever goes on for too long. The best addition to Splatoon 2, however, is Salmon Run. In this mode, players work to fend off waves of enemy salmonids whilst collecting golden eggs. Think of it as a boss rush mode where all the bosses show up at once, resulting in a frenzied wave of intense, fast-paced action. It's where Splatoon 2 shines the most. Each of the boss salmonids is wonderfully unique, encouraging players to attack in different ways. For example, the flyfish can only be killed by players throwing bombs into its open missile containers. The scrapper can only be destroyed from behind, and the maws move beneath the stage, given away only by a light bobbing out the ground, forcing players to throw down a bomb before it leaps up, swallowing it. Those are just a few examples of the ingenious variety of enemies. It ensures this mode never gets tiresome, and each time you come back you deploy a bit more strategy. If you needed any more incentive, you also gain rewards for successful completion of each run to be used in the game's other modes. What might be the best decision on Nintendo's part here is the decision for players to switch weapons after each wave of enemies. You're unable to bring your own gear into this mode, instead being given a random choice with one of the game's different weapon types. It ensures players never get comfortable with any one weapon, maintaining the difficulty but also encouraging them to try out different weapons elsewhere in the game. Playing this mode, I realised I was hopeless using a charged weapon, as I was never really interested in using them, so I went away to practice knowing I would have to use it at some point. It gave me a greater appreciation for the game's balance of weapons and made me realise all the new possibilities that subtype created. It's a brilliant way to push the player out of their comfort zone and experience all a game has to offer in a fun and unique setting. If there's one downside to this mode, other than the fact that it's only available every other day, it's that it really requires coordination between the whole team, and Nintendo makes that exceedingly difficult with its approach to voice chat, a sentiment echoed through all the other modes in the game. The Switch itself does not support voice chat. Instead, users are made to download a special mobile app for use of this feature, and even then this is only for linking up with friends. In a game where the primary goal is teaming up with strangers to win, this is an annoyingly regressive move from Nintendo. They've never been quick to adopt standard online practices, and now even when they do, it's with frustrating caveats. There are obviously problems associated with voice chat, but this should be a risk dealt with on the user's end as opposed to Nintendo deciding for everyone. If you're teaming up with friends, it's not so bad, through either Nintendo's own app or more popular services such as Discord, but the majority of the time you'll find yourself playing with strangers with no hope of organising your efforts outside of the basic phrases Nintendo has tied to the directional pad. It's a shame as this could completely transform the game, and in this day and age the option should be there. For as innovative as Nintendo is in their approach to games such as these, they seem to still be stuck in the past when it comes to basic modern day practices. As well as all the above modes mentioned, the sheer variety of content in general can't be understated. Nintendo saw fit to support the game with free updates for several years following release, adding in a staggering amount of weapons and gear. You unlock these through levelling up, and can customise them with a variety of abilities to improve your efforts. The 16 stages in the game feature some brilliantly creative designs. Moray Towers is a particular favourite of mine, and I imagine I'm in the minority there, but the way it plays with verticality makes it wholly unique, encouraging you to adopt different ways of attaining your goal. Indeed, each of the stages has at least one defining feature that ensure you don't feel as though you're playing the same match over and over again. This is where Nintendo's decision to rotate a couple stages every few hours pays off. At first this seems like an odd design choice. Why not just let players choose which map they wish to play on? Like the weapons in Salmon Run, it forces the player to experience more of the game and thus gain a greater appreciation for its inner workings. It may seem like an arbitrary design choice, and it's one I initially wasn't fond of, but after you've played a while, you find yourself sucked into the game, and suddenly those 2-hour rotation times whiz by. It would be remiss of me not to mention the single player mode on offer in the game, as this is perhaps where Splatoon 2 has improved most upon the first entry. The levels are more varied and call to mind the tight level designs of Nintendo's other flagship series such as Mario, and the way you approach them is a significant step up from the original. Instead of being limited to just one weapon, here you have 9. It allows players to get accustomed to how the game works in a way that's much more enjoyable than a standard tutorial. The story is mostly a rehash of that of the first game, which even then was nothing to sing about, but the hidden collectible scrolls in each level provide a fun and interesting look into the lore surrounding the game world. It's a fun insight into a zany world, and give genuine meaning to picking up all the collectibles as opposed to simply just having them. The enemy design is as unique and varied as we've come to expect from the game, and the campaign genuinely offers a rewarding challenge to those that want something outside the usual multiplayer options. Looking at Nintendo's releases on Switch so far, it's clear they are pushing themselves to innovate and redefine their franchises more than ever before. Being only the second installment in the series, Splatoon 2 didn't require anything quite like that, but there was clear opportunity to build upon the foundations laid by the first game, and it absolutely delivered. Refining every aspect of what came before, Splatoon 2 is a fast-paced, charming, wondrously enjoyable addition to the Nintendo Switch library. As is often the case with Nintendo's games, the online functionality does leave something to be desired, but some missing features don't negate the fact that it all works as it should. The addition of the chaotically fun Salmon Run mode alone makes the game stand out, but Nintendo has packed this game with features that should ensure its longevity, and that's to say nothing of the additional single-player focused DLC. So whether you're a seasoned pro of the genre or just looking to try something new, Splatoon 2 is a game well worth giving a go. Splatoon 2 refines the innovative approach of its predecessor, gifting us a charming yet challenging game that wears its colours proudly in an often bleak and crowded genre, whilst also standing out as one of Nintendo's finest achievements to date.